Hi everyone, once again welcome to Homila Realty channel. My name is Ray Azar. I'm the broker manager of Homila Realty, and this is another informative video for you to make sure that you are protected and you have all the knowledge and information necessary to invest in real estate. Now today we are going to talk about assignment sales. But before we start, I'd like to disclose that this is not real estate financing or accounting advice. This is simply the knowledge we have that we're sharing with you, and it's our opinion. We strongly suggest to seek professional advice if you're planning to purchase an assignment sale. This could be a lawyer, and I suggest talk to your accountant and mortgage broker prior to making a purchase. Before we forget, in order to keep updated about the market news and receive our informative and educational content, click on the like button, subscribe to our channel, and make sure you click on that bell button so you'll be notified of all the future videos that we're going to release. So the assignment is basically literally purchasing an agreement of purchase and sale that someone else purchased. Now, the person that's purchasing this agreement or the person that's trying to buy the agreement of purchase and sale is called an assignee, and the person that's selling that agreement of purchase and sale is called assignor. Now, keep in mind that this generally and must happen prior to the closing date, meaning that you're only purchasing the agreement. You're not purchasing the actual end product. What to watch out for in a situation like this is when you are buying a property via assignment, you are purchasing the agreement of purchase and sale from another buyer before the closing, which we talked about. So there is no guarantee that that agreement is going to close on the closing date because things can go wrong. The seller might refuse to close the deal, or maybe you're purchasing a pre-construction condo or home, and the seller, which is the builder, cancels the project, or they go bankrupt. And what's going to happen to this purchase that you just made? We have to make sure that we are protecting ourselves. Keep in mind that every single time that you're deciding to purchase an assignment agreement, getting a lawyer involved is very important to look at that agreement of purchase and sale, because not all real estate professionals are 100% familiar with the process of an assignment. And that is why you have to have a professional hired that has had experience with this type of properties and this type of deals, and also get a lawyer involved to go over everything and make sure that there are no mistakes or issues with that agreement of purchase and sale or that assignment agreement that you are signing. Generally, an agreement has several components that you have to pay attention to when you're purchasing an assignment agreement. Number one is purchase price. Second is amount of the deposit that was paid by the original buyer, which is the assignor. And also you have to pay extra attention to the closing date and possibility of extensions or non-performance by the seller. In other words, not closing on time or not closing at all. Finally, you have to pay attention to when you are going to pay the profit to the assignor. Because remember, the assignor is the person that originally purchased the property. And now you're purchasing from them, and chances are you're going to pay them a profit. That's not always true, because sometimes when the market drops, you might purchase an assignment that is lower than the original price, and you might actually be the one that's purchasing it at a lower price, so you don't pay a profit. But most of the times, you are paying a profit. And when are you supposed to pay this profit to the assignor? It is very important, and we're going to highlight some of the issues that you might come across and how to deal with them. Now, regarding the purchase price, the assignor or the seller of that assignment, that agreement, have paid a certain amount for this property. Now you are coming in to purchase that agreement of purchase and sell, and you want to pay them a profit. So you're going to purchase that property at a higher price. The difference between the price you're paying and the price that the original buyer paid would be the profit that needs to be paid to the assignor or seller of this agreement. Second thing is the original deposit that the assignor paid to the seller or the builder. This is the amount that will be reflected on the original agreement of purchase and sale, and it's generally the deposit they paid in order to secure this agreement. Depending on who you're buying from, whether it's the seller, which generally you have a certain deposit on the agreement of purchase and sale indicated, or it would be a builder that they purchased from, and that builder might have several deposits throughout the period of time that the buyer is waiting for the property to be finished or finalized. And it could be anywhere between one deposit payment to up to 5 or 6 deposit payments that they might have paid. And the combination or collection of all those deposit payments is the amount that they have paid the builder. And you generally have to reimburse this amount to the original buyer or the person that's selling you that assignment agreement or the assignor when you sign the assignment agreement and the assignment agreement is finalized and you have either got the approval of the assignor, or in case of a pre-construction property, you have got the approval of the builder as well. And once the builder approves this assignment, then you can pay them that original deposit that they have paid on their original agreement of purchase and sale. Now, closing date, as I mentioned, it could be delayed. If it's a builder, they have the right to delay the closing date, and you can find out how long this delay can be in the original agreement of purchase and sale that the buyer has signed with the builder. They generally put a certain time frame that they can be late. And according to the law, if they're delayed beyond a certain point, then they have to pay a penalty to the buyer. You got to make sure that all of these penalties and credits are transferred to you when you're purchasing a assignment agreement. So you have to have a clause in there that says any sort of credit or any sort of incentive that the builder pays for any type of delay is going to be transferred to you. So it's important to pay attention to that. In terms of existing product, there are several situations where the closing can be delayed. For example, in a estate sale, where we're waiting for the will to be probated, there's a possibility of delay of the closing date. So prepare yourself for those type of issues or problems, and make sure that you take that into the consideration when you're purchasing an assignment agreement. Now, payment of profit is a different story. You want to make that payment, or the difference between the original purchase price and the amount that you're paying to the assignor or seller of that agreement, at the end when the final closing happens. In other words, when you get the key to the unit and you have the title of the property, that's when you want to pay this profit to the seller. And the reason for that is because, as we mentioned, if it's a pre-construction project, the deal can fall apart. The builder can go bankrupt. The project can be canceled. And now, if you have paid the profit, although your original deposit that you already paid to the seller is protected, the profit that you're paying is not protected anymore. That's why paying the original deposit is not an issue, but paying that profit in advance of the final closing date can jeopardize your situation. And if the project gets canceled, guess what? You're going to lose that money. So it's important to have a basically schedule that you pay their original deposit after the assignment gets approved or signed and accepted, and you pay their profit when the final closing happens and you actually have the title of the property. So on the day of closing, you can instruct your lawyer to pay that profit to the seller or assignor. Now, other things that you got to watch out for. Generally, the person that's selling that assignment has a right to assign. You have to make sure that if you're purchasing this property, you're still going to have a right to assign in case anything goes wrong and you want to get rid of that property and sell it to someone else. So it's a good idea to negotiate that into the contract. So after you purchase the property, if you need to sell this contract to someone else, you're going to have that right. The other thing is the capping the closing costs, especially when you are buying a pre-construction from a builder. A lot of builders, they build into hidden costs into the agreement where on the closing date they can charge you a certain amount of money for the closing costs, and this amount can fluctuate anywhere between $10,000 to tens of thousands of dollars. I've seen closing costs as high as $80,000 for a condo. And if that's the case, you're going to be stuck with that amount because you're purchasing that original agreement of purchase and sale. So it's important to look into this agreement and make sure that the costs have been capped. If the original buyer did not cap these costs, you can sign an agreement with them that they cap these costs for you, meaning that although the builder can charge them anything they want, now they're going to guarantee that if the closing costs are more than a certain amount, then they're going to cover that from their profits. So it's good to negotiate at this stage because later on it's going to be too late. Or make sure that the cap exists in the agreement. Now we talked about delays in closing. I'm not going to get into that further. You understand that that's a possibility. Also, when you're purchasing an assignment agreement from a builder, assignment agreement from a buyer that purchased from a builder, make sure that you prepare yourself to pay the HST rebate on the closing date. Because a lot of builders, when they see an assignment, they no longer accept to waive that HST rebate. The HST rebate approximately can be around $24,000 because the builders generally pay the HST, but they claim the HST rebate from the government on behalf of the buyer. And that's built into the price that they sell the property. So if the HST rebate does not come from the government, they have to pay out of pocket. That $24,000 has to be paid out of pocket. That's why the builders would not risk it, because this property was sold prior to the closing. Now they no longer consider this as an end user, and they can't claim that HST to the government, or they don't want to risk that. So majority of builders, what they do is they expect you to pay that $24,000 on the closing date, and then they want you to go and after the closing claim it on your own, which you are entitled to. Talk to your accountant. They're going to explain it to you, whether you are the end user or you're planning to rent the property to someone else, you'll be able to claim this HST rebate from the government. And also, finally, one thing that you have to understand when you're purchasing a pre-construction or you're purchasing an assignment of a pre-construction property, the builders generally do not allow you to advertise or market your property on MLS or any other social media. So if you're planning to buy and sell this product prior to the closing date, understand that you might not be able to market this property or product. And the only way that you can do this is by finding a buyer on your own. And it's important to understand that prior to signing that agreement. Okay. Now, a lot of people call us and say, hey, should I sell my property as an assignment? I purchased the property. Right now, the prices have gone up, and I like to sell it and make a profit. Should I do that? There are tax implications, including HST and capital gain or income implications. So the whole profit might turn into income, and you have to pay taxes on that. It is important to make sure that you talk to your accountant prior to that and get the proper advice prior to signing an agreement. We'll have another video next week talking about tax liabilities that you might have if you assign an agreement of purchase and sale and you make a profit. We're going to tell you all the details and how it's going to affect you, but that's a topic for another video. Follow us on YouTube and watch out for that video, and you're going to be able to see how a sale of the assignment agreement would affect your bottom line. Now, thank you for watching this video once again. If you like the content, please click on the like button and subscribe to our channel. By pressing that notification button, you will be notified of our future videos. If you like help buying or selling or doing any assignments, you can contact one of our trained realtors that will be able to protect you by providing you with valuable information. You can simply call 416-495-4030 or email us at info@homelaw.com. Thanks again, and see you next time.